With no one else in the hotel, he walked into the hallway and saw two girls standing there, wearing clothes from another era. And before he knew it, they vanished. Welcome to the Paranormal Post. I'm Clayton Morris. If you love true stories of the unexplained, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And there's one more step you can do, and that's to turn on that notification bell so you'll receive a notification whenever we publish a brand new video. Well, there is a dark secret among hotel owners: hauntings. They keep it quiet because it's hard enough trying to find people to clean the hotels that they don't need someone quitting on them when they find out that room 200 is haunted by a little boy. Hotels have the unique ability to capture the souls of their guests, figuratively and quite literally. With great aesthetics or a good view, people everywhere would want to be guests in the hotel just for the experience. But some guests never leave. Here are 13 of the most haunted hotel rooms that are open for business right now in the United States. And wait until you see number one. It's now one of the most famous haunted hotels in the world, and one of my favorite books of all time, by the way. Let's start with number 13, lucky number 13, and room number 318 in the Green Park Inn, located in northwestern North Carolina. In the majestic Green Park Inn, built in 1891. It made the Forbes list of America's 25 most haunted hotels. And there's a ghost log where any guest who had a weird experience of something that he wishes to share could write it down for others to see. But it's the room specifically, number 318, where Laura Green died. That's the main attraction, presumably by suicide, after being left at the altar by her lover. Visitors to this room, along with the entire first floor, have claimed to see Laura Green and her husband-to-be. They smell pipe smoke that has been reported by visitors, perhaps of the man that led to the death of Laura. Electronic items in the room, such as TVs, are claimed to be messed with when the guests are present. There are also many reports of the sound of children playing in the hallways there at the hotel, even when there are no children present. Many visitors see the couple still walking around the inn despite their tragic deaths. Number 12 on our list, rooms 612 and 325 in the Hawthorn Hotel. Now, when you hear that this hotel is in Salem, Massachusetts, you will automatically know why this place made its way to this video. The city that's most known for its 1692 witch trials, that on its face grants it a one-way ticket to Creepy Town. Ever since it opened, though, in 1925, the Hawthorn Hotel has had ghost sightings since day one. Staff members have reported that the furniture moves around unassisted, lights turn on and off on their own. And in room 325, guests have reported hearing disembodied children's cries, water faucets turning on and off, the light flickering. And the most chilling of all is that sometimes guests would feel that they are being touched, and there's no one else in the room. That is creepy. In room 612, meanwhile, the ghost of Bridget Bishop is said to haunt the place. Although it's unlikely that a soul that was executed in the 1600s would still haunt a place 300 years later, but many people have seen this medieval lady, and the apparition comes with the sweet scent of toasted apples. Number 11 on our list is room 301 in the Red Lion Inn. Now, the 235 years old inn in Stockbridge, Massachusetts is a particularly famous place among paranormal investigators and mediums. The fourth floor, in particular, is reported to be a ghost hotspot. Among them is the ghost of a little girl holding flowers and a man in a top hat in an olden day dress and attire. He's harmless, but he likes to make himself heard and seen. There have been multiple reports of this man being a permanent guest in room 301. The friendly apparition is said to be standing at the edge of the bed and would give the guests sudden bursts of cold air. Imagine waking up and seeing an old man standing at the edge of your bed. The most eventful recording of the man was when a ghost hunter went there with full filming equipment set up around the room to catch the paranormal being. When asking for an answer, the man would reply in multiple knocking sounds. Throughout the night, the ghost hunter recorded 18 knocks coming from apparently no one that was physically there. He would ask, and the knocks would respond. Upon overnight recording inspection, the man found that a figure kept passing by the camera and bumping into the tripod. That's when the recording was fast-forwarded. The heavy armoire door that was opening by itself, a sight that got chills down everyone's spine. Not even a physical human could open that door without applying a significant amount of force. The staff at the Red Lion Inn say the spirits are benign, and there has never been an aggressive incident. Number 10 on our list, room 311. In the Reed House in Chattanooga. in the year 1920, a woman by the name of Annalisa Netherley was said to be beheaded in the bathtub during her stay at the Reed House Hotel by her lover, who suspected her to be cheating on him. Since then, room 311 was nicknamed the Annalisa Netherley Room for the power that she has over it. To this day, people claim to see shadows in mirrors. They see other figures reclining on the bed when no one is in there. Other than Annalisa Netherley, the Reed Hotel witnessed the final moments of many other people who've died due to natural causes, murder, and suicide. Among those unfortunate souls is the ghost of a man and a woman who can also be seen walking around the hotel. Some say the man's ghost hangs around because he was either murdered or committed suicide during his stay. The hotel even offered the Reed House Haunted Room 311 experience package that was available last year throughout October for the fitting price of $666. It will deliver a full Halloween experience for that amount of money. So if you ever feel like giving yourself a good scare or making friends with Annalisa Netherley, I encourage you to check in to room 311 of the Reed Hotel. Number 9, room 4 in the Orleans Inn. Despite the small building of the Orleans Inn, it has a great history. A family-run inn and 11 rooms along with a waterfront dining room. According to the innkeepers, it's haunted by more than one ghost, but don't be fooled, they are friendly, they say. The most famous ghost that is said to haunt the place is that of Hannah. Hannah, also known as the Lady of the Night, was a woman who lived and worked in the inn during the 19th century. The guests and staff have reportedly felt her cheerful presence, saw candles being extinguished when there was no wind, and flickering lights. The room is notorious in the Cape Cod area as it's a guaranteed way to communicate with the dead, particularly Hannah. Multiple residents have filmed the conversation with Hannah, where they ask yes or no questions, and she always answers, whether with a flashlight or other forms of electronic equipment. And she uses the flashlight with an agreed-upon code, either yes or no. Hannah the ghost is supposed to be quirky and nice, but it's a ghost nonetheless, so be careful. Next up, number 8, and rooms 201 and 203 in the Kehoe House in Savannah, Georgia. It's one of the most historic places to visit. If you haven't been to Savannah, it is absolutely beautiful, one of my favorite places in the United States. But if you seek the historic background, a gorgeous bed and breakfast, and a place with a big side of ghosts, then go to the Kehoe House. It's the place to go. The inn was built in 1892 for William Kehoe, a local ironworks magnate. The inn's 13 guest rooms feature elegant furnishings, fine European linens, and private baths, some with rooms boasting of separate sitting areas and other private verandas that look out over the beautiful city. Other amenities include a decadent made-to-order breakfast every morning and wine hours and hors d'oeuvres in the evening. According to the historian James Caskey, the Kehoe family had 13 children. Among them was a twin sibling who met her untimely death while playing in the premise's chimney. Legend says that the twins are still playing around the place, and guests have reported hearing children laughing and footsteps when there was no one there. The most paranormally active rooms in the building are rooms 201 and 203. And a previous guest has said that she woke up in the middle of the night to a child stroking her face and her hair while she slept. Another reported seeing a figure on the bed next to hers, with impressions in the sheets to confirm the sighting. Aside from the ghost guests, the Savannah Kehoe House is a 128-year-old place that has lived through some of the most amazing historic events. That sure left a dent on this place. But when you go there, who knows, you might get a bonus hair stroking while you're staying at the house. Number 7, room 525 in the Driscoll Hotel. On the 20th of December, 1886, the Grand Texan Hotel called the Driscoll Hotel opened its doors to guests seeking a Romanesque ambiance and comfortable yet elegant stay. The 189 suites and guest room hotel has made its way to the Historic Hotels of America's list and the National Register for Historic Places in 1969. The center of action is the 4th floor, specifically room 525. The room is said to witness the final moments of 2 brides who took their own lives on their honeymoons 20 years apart. Due to this fact, multiple guests and their staff have reported seeing unhappy women apparitions who whisper and cry in agony. Perhaps the first recorded incident happened in 1887, a year after the hotel's opening. At the time, a senator was a guest at the hotel when his daughter fell to her death in the grand stairway. The daughter can still be seen playing and running in the hallways. Nowadays, after room 525 is reopened after being off limits due to 2 suicide incidents, guests have reported mysterious steamed-up rooms, unintelligible scribbles on notepads, and the undeniable weeping sounds of these women. unexplained leaking coming from water somewhere, incessantly peeling paint that can't be stopped, and cold gusts of air that are known to be a trademark for mostly ghostly presence. The Driscoll Hotel combines the elegance of 1886 and the practicality of the year 2022. Number 6 on our list, rooms 8 and 10 at the Battery Carriage House Inn. In 1943, Charleston, South Carolina, Colonel Richard Lathers opened the Battery Carriage House Inn, until this day a hotspot with a front row view of the White Point Gardens and the Charleston Harbor, a beautiful place. The property had been badly damaged during the Civil War, when it was the rendezvous place for the city's gritty dock workers and prostitutes. The colonel also held meetings there where he brought the leaders of the South and the North together to have dinner and drink and wine as a way to let go of the past. But the locals seemed to have it in for Lathers, so it finally got to him. He took his Yankee blood and his money back to New York. After opening as an inn some 30 years ago, the place still has the same southern charm to it, with the addition of 2 permanent ghost guests. The first one is nicknamed the Gentleman Ghost. He's thought to be a young, suicidal college student who jumped to his death from the roof. He was named that way because it's a guaranteed repeated incident where he will appear in the beds of women who check in to room number 10, and if the women protest or scream upon seeing him, he abruptly leaves, using the built-in entertainment unit that used to be the original door for the room, so he walks right through this entertainment center. This ghost is considered to be the friendly one of the two and is said to look and smell clean and soapy. And then in room 8 resides a far more aggressive spirit that was given the name the Headless Torso in 1993. The most known story about it is that a man woke up to find the headless torso behind his bed. The menacing, raspy breathing apparently didn't scare the man enough, because he reached out to touch him, to which the ghost protested by growling. The man said that the ghost was wearing a burlap overcoat. The staff speculate that this headless torso was also a Civil War soldier, which explains the gruesome, obvious death and the anger associated with this. The city of Charleston is a place where the spirits are just as much a part of the history as the living. The Battery Carriage House Inn is the most haunted inn in Charleston. Number 5 on our list is room 424 on the Congress Hotel in Tucson, Arizona. There, you'll find a huge lit-up marquee that announces the presence of the Congress Hotel. The 1919 hotel served as a lodging for passengers on the Southern Pacific Railroads and as a hideout for multiple delinquents during the year 1934, the most famous being the notorious Dillinger Gang that robbed multiple banks. The Congress Hotel has kept its charming Western furniture like iron beds, retro phones, and the rumbling of a nearby train. With that, though, comes a plethora of ghosts, ranging from ex-residents to ex-staff. The most famous among them is the ghost of a man wearing a gray suit and a top hat, who's said to walk around the lobby and stick his head through the office door. Another is a Victorian lady who's considered the nicest one, as she leaves a rosy scent wherever she goes. The co-owner of the hotel says that there are multiple others, like the ones who stick their heads through the windows, or the one who is said to be a staff member is often seen cleaning dressers as a maid, or the ghost who occasionally appears to look like a normal human and speaks to guests at the front desk. That's creepy. Arguably, the most haunted room is 424, a place where a suicide took place multiple years ago. Yet the bullet can still be seen on the bathroom plaster. Visitors have also complained about gusts of cold air coming from the ends of their beds. The Congress Hotel went through a devastating fire in 1934 and several others throughout the years. A place like that will forever be crowded with history, tragedies, and permanent ghost guests. Number 4 on our list is room 419 in the Crescent Hotel. The Crescent Hotel has one of the most tragic and disturbing stories of all time. In the year 1886, a man with the name Norman G. Baker bought the property that is now known to be the Crescent, turned it into a hospital for cancer patients at the time. The hospital was advertised as the one place that you could go to find the cure for cancer, which of course was not true. For several years, the bad living conditions in the hospital cost hundreds of people their lives. During the Baker years, the imposter doctors took hundreds of specimens from his patients and hid it into jars that were later discovered in 2019. It's still not known whether the fleshy substances were taken while the patients were alive or dead. One thing for certain, though, is that Baker made millions from the hopeful, doomed people in exchange for non-existent cures for cancer and a whole lot of suffering. Due to the gruesome history, mediums and paranormal investigators believe that the gate to the realm of the dead is located in the Crescent Hotel on a spot that used to be the hospital's morgue. It's unclear how many ghosts live in the property, but even if you were able to count, they appear to be endless. Guests have reported hearing the sound of wheels, a nurse shoving bodies, footsteps, cold areas in the place that used to be the autopsy room, countless orbs that they see. The hotel's hotspot, one of many, seems to be room 419, also known as Theodora's room. Theodora was a nurse that served the hospital from 1937 to 1940. She's a fairly benign spirit who's said to organize the messy room and unpack guests' luggage for them. If you stay in room 419, something eerie is bound to happen to you, whether it being an apparition, organizing, or merely displacing your belongings. In 2005, the hotel was featured in an episode of Ghost Hunters, where an identified human figure was documented on a thermal camera. Number 3 on our list is room 322 in the ZAZA Hotel. In 2013, when Reddit user Joe Likes Music posted about his eerie experience at the ZAZA Hotel in Houston, Texas, well, that's where everything started. That's where the controversy started. On a business trip, the user checked into the ZAZA Hotel. Each was assigned a normal room except for the user's colleague. The colleague ended up in room 322 that had an undeniable feeling of uneasiness about it. It was 1/3 the size of the other rooms, with brick walls, cement floors, chains attached to the bed frame, pictures of distorted figures, and a skull painting on the wall, a large mirror next to the bed, and most unsettling of all, a small portrait of a smiling old man in a suit above the doorway, looking over the room. It goes without saying that he refused to stay in that room, and he immediately rushed back to the front desk. They apologized to him and told him that it was a mistake and the room was not to be rented out. Well, after the post began gaining some traction on Reddit, the user got in touch with the Houston Chronicle, who called the hotel and got a statement from a spokesperson saying that it's a theme room called the Hard Times Room, for guests who are looking for a playful spin on a jail experience. Whether you believe the statement or not, it's up to you, but when did jail rooms become popular with deformed paintings of women on the wall? The statement was quickly dismissed by Reddit users who dived into the hotel's themed rooms and did not find any Hard Times themed room. Upon further investigation, the small portrait in the room was found to be that of Jay Kumo, a former executive with the Stanford Financial Group, a Houston-based company which was shut down by the feds in 2009 for running a $7 billion Ponzi scheme. Another user by the name of Hugh Pagel took it upon himself to get to the bottom of this mystery of this room. The user found that the portrait might be some sort of elaborate joke, like it's a jail and now he's stuck in jail, some kind of a joke. It doesn't make much sense, but the most interesting finding was that it seemed like the mirror was separating room 322 from room 321 and its bathroom. What is going on here? With all things considered, what do you think is the purpose of this eerie room? Is it some sort of secret sex room? Is it a torture room? Is it a room for demonic practices, seances, something that was never supposed to be revealed by the hotel? Is it a place for creepy businessmen to come and do creepy things? It's bizarre, but I'm never going to stay in room 322 at that hotel. Number 2 on our list, room 928 and suite 1200 at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel in Los Angeles. Of course, the center for the movie industry, and the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel was said to be home of some of the most famous and not so famous actors. The property houses multiple nameless ghosts, but only 4 that repeatedly make themselves known. The first is a ghost of a 5-year-old girl who's looking for her mother. The second is the ghost of a man who lives in the Blossom Ballroom and is said to be playing the piano. The third is the ghost of a man who stayed there during Oscar season, hoping that he would get an Oscar. The fourth is a man who's known to lock guests out of their rooms and make stomping sounds with like wearing boot sounds in the rooms. The year 1952, the actor Montgomery Clift stayed 3 months in room 928, and rumor has it, he never left. Guests and staff have said that Clift is seen pacing the hallways, practicing his trumpet. Other guests have a more frightening time. They say Clift would keep them from getting up if they're laying in the bed, like pushing on their chests. Suite 1200 belonged to the famous actress Marilyn Monroe, where to this day she's said to appear in the suite to occupying guests and will often be seen in the mirror located at the poolside. I don't know about you, but I would gladly pay to go and meet Marilyn Monroe's ghost. And number 1 on our list is room 217 of the famous Stanley Hotel. Now, if you're a fan of horror movies like I am, or even if you're not, you'll surely know the name Stephen King. The horror godfather back in 1974, the legend and his wife decided to stay at the Stanley Hotel for one night, a night that changed King's life and the hotel's future. He once checked into 217 in the presidential suite, merely because it was the only available room with clean sheets, as the hotel was in the process of shutting down for the winter months. Fascinated by the hotel's decor, Stephen King decided to have a few drinks at the hotel's bar, then walked around the empty building. As he walked around, he saw 2 children playing on the 4th floor, a sight which should be sweet if he didn't know that there were no other guests there that night. The sighting became weirder and weirder when he asked the staff members. None of them recognized the kids, nor did anyone have children on the premises. Brushing off the eerie incident, Stephen decided to go to his room to get some sleep, but he ended up having no sleep at all. He woke up in the middle of the night, frightened because of the nightmare that he had. He noticed a fire hose in the hallway just before entering his room, and in the nightmare, he saw his younger son being strangled to death by the same fire hose. If the story sounds familiar to you, that's because it is. On that sleepless night, when Stephen King sat, he finished a cigarette, the idea of the famous novel and movie, The Shining, came to him. With the exact sighting of those 2 children and that unbelievable feeling of having an entire hotel just to yourself during these blustery winter months, the Stanley Hotel became the Overlook Hotel, and the best-selling book, The Shining, was created. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on that little bell notification so you'll be notified when we publish a new video. I'd love to hear your creepy hotel stories. If you have any, share them with me in the comments below. I read all of your comments. And also, check out this other video that we just published right here on the channel. We'll see you next time, everyone.